Hi, I'm Damian Bonazzoli of dvdocument.com, your home for mastering the guitar. Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, scales. No matter what type of music you play, rock, metal, jazz, blues, country, classical, scales are going to be an important part of your lead playing toolkit. And of course that means you have to practice them and practice them some more. So how do you get the most out of your scale practice, and what essentials should be doing with every practice session? Honestly, as much of a fan as I am of repetition, I'm an even bigger fan of variation. That is, you'll want to run your scales all over the neck in as many different ways as you can think of. And I'm here to help you with that. Now before we get started, let's just take a minute and review some basic note groupings. We all know that in 4/4 time, as almost all rock and popular music is, a quarter note gets one beat and there are 4 quarter notes per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. So in a scale practice, we're going to work with quarter notes, 1 beat per measure, eighth notes, which is 2 notes per beat, 16th notes, which is 4 notes per beat, triplet eighths, which is 3 notes per beat. Of course, you can subdivide further, 32nd notes, any number of different ways, 7 notes per beat, 5 notes per beat. But what I just outlined for you is plenty for what we want to accomplish. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to use an A minor scale in 5th position. First thing we can do, we can go simple quarter notes, 1 note per beat. Pretty easy. You might notice I'm doing all downstrokes. That's because downbeat, downstroke. When we start bringing in an upbeat, like now, when we do eighth notes, I'm going to do strict alternate picking. Downstroke on the downbeat, upstroke on the upbeat. Here's your eighth notes. Now we can subdivide that even further and do 16th notes, which of course is 4 notes per beat. And finally we can do triplet eighth notes, which are a little bit odd. They're 3 notes per beat. Now, if that's a little bit too much for you, if that's flying by too fast, there's a nice little bridge technique we can do to make things a little easier. Instead of running through the whole scale, note after note after note, what we can do is start to do, let's say, eighth notes, but have your down upstroke on the same note of the scale. So that would sound like this. And so forth, all the way up and back for the scale. 16th notes, you can do exactly the same thing. And you guessed it, triplets, exactly the same thing. Now that we got those, that's one scale position. Now, in part 2, things are going to get a little more complicated. As always, you want to be working this stuff. At first, just get the patterns in your hand, both your left hand and your right hand. But once you get comfortable, you got to bring out the metronome. You can practice along with the metronome. You can measure your own progress. If you can do it at 92 beats per minute one week, and you can do it at 120 beats per minute a couple of weeks later, guess what? That means you're making progress. Do it with precision. Be very careful about your downstroke and upstroke alternate picking technique. Keep at it. Sometimes it's frustrating, but it's definitely worthwhile. I'll see you next time in part 2. As always, please visit dvdocument.com, your home for mastering the guitar.